This is indeed a beautiful day, a day the Lord has made, and we will be glad and rejoice in it. You're welcome to another edition of the Kristocentric Agenda, and today we're touching on an impressive and touching topic. I have with me in the studio Mr. Richard ABROKWAH. He's the head of Media Relations Unit at the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, and we'll be discussing whether they are doing enough to safeguard the lives of Ghanaians. My name is Yeboah Edwin Techi, your Christian news anchor, and with this, we'll begin the interview. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend and brother.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm very well, thank you. I'm blessed.
Amazing. So wait, how's the journey here?
It's been a blessing. I had a good night's sleep by the grace of God, and coming here was so easy. Just about 15 minutes I was here.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's jump straight into it. You represent the Food and Drugs Authority. What role does the organization play?
So let me start this way by saying that thank you so much for the opportunity you have given to the FDA to speak to your audiences. And we are hoping that by the time we are done, we'll be able to shift them from some of their behaviors that are not good for their health and safety. So now back to the question, the role of the FDA. The FDA regulates some very key products in our country. And like it's in our name, food. So we regulate food. It includes water and everything in between up to even your chewing gum. We also regulate medicines. And you have herbal medicines, you have the allopathic medicines. And that also include blood and blood products and other varieties of it. Now, we also regulate what we call the cosmetic products, the ones we use for our skin, our hair, including our toothpaste. Then FDA also regulates the household chemicals, all the chemicals used at home for cleaning and for all the hygienic issues, tobacco and tobacco products, and some other issues there. But so basically, we have to ensure that all these products, whether they are being offered for sale, distribution, its manufacturing, its importation, and everything that has to do with the safety of the product is kept intact. And this is given to us by the Public Health Act. That is what gives us the mandate to do all that we do.
So with all these products, from cosmetics, food, drugs, even the disinfectants we use at home,
yeah,
they all pass through the FDA.
Yes. If everything is supposed to work the way we envisage, then nothing should be offered for sale or be given as a gift without the FDA regulating it.
Is it both just the local, or we're talking about local
and imported? So whether it's been locally manufactured or it's been imported, the FDA has to make sure it is safe for use before they are used.
But is that the case on the ground?
That is where the difficulty is. That's where the difficulty is that we have some who try to smuggle some of these products onto the market. And others do not also disclose the products, and they just hide it and then they bring it into the system. But if all things are supposed to work the way the law mandates us to, then it should not happen. But however, we have some of our Ghanaian folks trying to beat the system by doing what they do.
I recently visited your website and I saw you've been raising issues with regards to the non-compliance in blood banking. What are some of those concerns?
Great. So, like I said in my initial statement about the role of the FDA, we regulate blood and blood products. The WHO has recently classified blood as a drug. So so now blood is a drug. It's a drug because it is used as part of the curative processes for persons who are sick, those who have suffered injuries, accidents, even our wives when they are going to give birth. Blood is one of the components they use as part of the curative for them. So it is very essential that the FDA will regulate this product so well so that it meets the international standard, such that if you are transfused, you don't end up getting complications because we don't regulate the species so well. There's been issues where somebody is looking for possibly an A blood type, but they end up giving a person an A negative or A minus, is because of the lack of regulation and standards that has been set for these organizations. So if the FDA will be able to get in there and be able to regulate the space, then we will make sure they put in place procedures and standards which will limit to the barest minimum the issues of blood transfusion complications and all that comes with it. And in that, we can safeguard the public, especially the sick ones, make sure they can be protected as they should per the mandate and the dictate of the law.
What are some of the regulations you're looking to put in with regards to that, the blood banking?
So it will include that they have a robust system where nothing happens per chance. The truth is that if you go really behind the scenes to see what happens, most of these places or blood facilities and the blood bankings, they don't keep to standard. You only see the blood has been given to you to be transfused, but what goes on when you are not there is what the FDA is trying to make sure before it is brought out. It is to the extent that it is safe for you to use, because we've had issues or situations where people are blood must be kept within a certain cold chain. So it's a certain temperature that blood must be kept in. But as to whether that is being done, whether it's being tracked, whether it's being monitored, that is what the FDA is trying to check for you. So before the blood is given to you, we will check and make sure that the standards and the procedures that must be adhered to are done. Now, the difficulty is that when we checked, there are about 350 blood facilities in Ghana. Out of these blood facilities, the FDA has been able to make contact with just about 110. That's about a third. So there are still some 2/3 plus that the FDA has not contacted yet. Meanwhile, they are transfusing blood, they are donating blood, they are doing things with blood. What is happening there? Nobody knows. This is the reason the FDA wants to regulate that space, to make sure that every place, every region, every corner of the country, every place where blood is being transfused, blood is being donated, they keep to a certain standard which meets the WHO standards, to ensure that when the blood is being given to you, it is of the right quality, it will protect your life, and it will save you. And then the mistakes that happens with the transfusion errors, all that will be limited. And then the good thing is that if you put in those measures, then they will monitor. So when they transfuse and there's an adverse event, I mean what you usually call a side effect, if there's a side effect to the donation that has been done, it will be reported to the FDA. That will be investigated, and then the next person does not go through that challenge. That is why the FDA is concerned about regulating the blood and blood issues.
In February, you announced your plan to shut down all food establishments operating without a valid hygiene permit. How is that operation going so far?
It's been so far so good. When we started it, we had a lot of backlash, but for those owners and then the people in the space, they knew that the FDA has to regulate them. So once the communique came out and the FDA started enforcing it, most of them rushed. And now we are trying to regulate all those spaces. It has not been 100% though, but there's been a very good success rate. I can boldly say that if assuming previously we were working around 5%, now we should be doing some around 70%. I don't have the accurate figures here, but based on the figures as of a month or two ago, we're doing so well. And we are trying to regulate that space to ensure that when you go to buy your wache from the woman at the corner, you go to buy your porridge in the morning, it will be good for you.
Yeah.
And if you are sure that where it is being prepared, it's not going to give you any foodborne disease. That's basically what the FDA is trying to do.
You mentioned backlash. What backlash were you receiving?
All right, so most of these people are traditional caterers, especially they are traditional caterers. It's something they've been doing. So probably their mother was preparing the cocoa, and a young lady, she's been nurtured into it, and now she's... So now if you then say that you want to regulate and make sure that the porridge you are selling by the roadside is of a certain standard, because all of us leave home very early, we are trading our lives by coming to buy from you. We need to be sure that once we come to buy, nobody gets to have any foodborne disease afterwards. But this person thinks that I've been doing this since with my mother and all that.
Yeah.
Why do you now want to regulate the space? It's something I've been doing all this while. Why do you want to do it? So our traditional Ghanaian nature sometimes becomes a problem for us, and then it gets into even the population. Goes, but why should the FDA be doing this? We are doing this just to protect your health, but it's all about educating the people to understand the mandate of the FDA. Once they get to understand why we are doing what we are doing, possibly they will also support us. But as for the backlash, it comes, but we have to be tough in doing our work, so we do our best to do it.
So, what percentage can you say currently have the food hygiene permits?
I may not be able to put a concrete figure on it, but I should be thinking we are doing roughly 70%. 70%, roughly, nearly.
So what's stopping the 30%?
So some of the 30%, some of them are still in the process of being regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Others, by our natural Ghanaian nature, want to wait for the last minute. Once we do the mop-up and we make sure that all those who have come to submit the application are being dealt with, and we have given them the licenses, we'll now check to see who are those who have not come, and then we'll enforce the law in that regard.
So what repercussions exist for food vendors who don't have the hygiene permit?
At the barest minimum, it will be a closure. At the barest minimum. So we will close the facility, whether it's a canteen, whether it's an eatery or a joint, we will close it. So that until you come for the regulation to really take effect or for it to be registered, you do not go to sell. So that's at the barest minimum. We can go for the option of prosecuting you at the courts. And that one, it will be you against the state. And the other administrative issues that will go into it. So based on a few considerations, the FDA decides which of them to go. But at the barest minimum, it will be a closure. And if you were following us, you will realize that we closed a few. And once we did that, everybody got to know that if you don't come, that's why we're having a whole lot of people trooping into our place at the same time, and it's giving us that load. But once we're able to clear all that load in the backlog, we will get back to the system to see those who are still not in good business, and they will make sure they comply.
Morocco was one of the organizations that you shut down for the food poisoning, right? That's true, right?
Sure.
So, for the food hygiene permit, is this something that's supposed to put on their stores as a sign that we have it for the customers to see? Or is it something they're supposed to keep at home hidden?
No. So, the food hygiene permit is supposed to be displayed. It must be displayed at the point of sale, so that if a regular consumer, a customer, I go to the place to go and buy, I should be able to see as one of the things displayed on the wall, the FDA's food hygiene permit. And if you can even ask for it, if you don't, you can ask for it to check, to make sure that it's not expired. Because sometimes it may be there, but it may be expired. So you need to be sure that they're having a valid license to operate. What that assures is that the FDA has come to check their processes and their facilities to make sure that at least we are reducing the risk, foodborne diseases and all that to the barest minimum. It may not be foolproof since you have human beings there, but once the FDA comes in, we ensure that they adhere to certain standards that would make sure that you, the consumer, you are protected. So if you go and it's not there, you have the right to ask for it.
Great.
But it must be displayed.
It must be
displayed at the point of sale.
So those watching, if you go and they don't have the food hygiene permit, you should ask for it, whether they do have it. So, if a food vendor wants to acquire the permit, what process do they have to go through? And are there any things that would disqualify them from acquiring it?
So what would disqualify anybody from acquiring it would be that you may have a disease that can be transmitted through food.
So you test the vendors?
Yes. So as part of the requirement, you must go to their local assembly. So AMA, KMA, TMA, whatever local authority you find yourself in, you go there. Once you tell them that you're a food vendor, you want to come and register your facility at the FDA, there are some mandatory tests they will do. This is to ensure that you don't have any communicable disease. By communicable, I'm talking about a disease that you can transfer, especially through food. So they will do all these tests for you. When they do the test for you, you get a certificate. Based on the certificate, you come to the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
All you are doing at the FDA is just complete a form, attach copy of the certificate they've given you, and they will come and do an inspection at your site. So when we see the certificate and it has certain things that is not proper for you to handle or go close to food, then you'll be advised against it. That as for this person, because of this condition XYZ, you must not go close to food. So we'll take all those people out and we'll explain to you why they must not. Then an inspection is done. The inspection is not supposed to kill your business, but supposed to ensure that you live up to the minimum standard. The minimum standard. So once we come and your facility is meeting the minimum standard, we'll approve you. And then we'll help you to move from that minimum standard to a standard where you cannot compete with all the giants in the food industry. And for those who have gone through the process, they will tell you that after they go through the process, they become better off.
So what's the minimum standard?
The minimum standard is that you should not be preparing food close to a refuse dump.
So all those preparing food close to refuse dumps,
it means that whatever they are doing, the FDA has not been there. Because if you are preparing food close to refuse dump, you know, the air is everywhere. The air is blowing. Insects can fly from one place to the other. So there's some places that you must not prepare commercial food. The refuse dump is one of them. And it should not be very close to an open gutter. An open gutter. So when FDA comes to do the inspection, they check the environment to see whether you have even a public toilet even within the neighborhood. So some of these things are things we check, and we will advise you against them, knowing the risks involved, cholera and all that comes with it, so that where you are preparing the food is as critical as where you are selling it. So we will check both places to make sure that the environment within which the food is being prepared and offered for sale meets that minimum hygiene standard, so that if there's anything that will pose a risk, we advise against it or find a way to mitigate that risk to ensure that when you offer your food for sale, it doesn't become a point where people will fall sick, and then when you treat it to you, it will end up collapsing your business.
Wow. Recently, I also saw that you had banned alcoholic energy drinks. Why?
That ban has to be done because the product is mixing two things. There's alcohol in it. The alcohol is a depressant. So by depressant, I mean that once you take alcohol, you begin to feel tipsy daisy, your body wants to sleep, your body wants to relax. But there's also another component in that product, which is the component makes the energy drink, which is a stimulant. By that, we mean that it rather gives you energy to do more, energy to go forward. So now your body is confused. You have taken a product is making you down, trying to sleep, put you to bed, and then another component is trying to also make you hyper and very energized. So your body becomes confused, and continuous consumption of this is going to let the body have its own mental issues. So after careful study and research, especially when you realize that the youth are abusing the product, there's a need for us to stop it. So that if you are doing energy drink, do just energy drink. If you are doing alcoholic product, do just alcoholic product. So the person knows what he is going for. But do not mix it for us to have its public health risks that are involved. Like I said, because it has that component, the body can confuse, and then people who are consuming it are not beginning to give us, they're falling sick because you are consuming more. The more you consume, the energy drink itself is supposed to be consumed beyond a certain quantity. But because the alcohol is is sort of urging you to give you that energy, I can't say wenyaje. Because you are so excited, you want to consume more. So the more you consume it, the more it gives your body issues. And you have gotten reports from medical officers about people who are overindulging in these products. And for that matter, we need to take an action that will protect the health of the public. That is why that was banned.
But how is the fight going?
It's always going to be difficult because Once you touch it, you have touched somebody's business. That's what we should always understand. Once the FDA wants to clamp down on anything, somebody's business, and that's somebody's capital, somebody's investment. So they will fight back. And then even those who are also so hooked to the product that they've now become so addicted to it also begin to fight back. But we are not perturbed by the fighting or the feedback, the negative feedback we are getting. Our mandate ensures that we protect public health and safety. So once what we are doing will protect public health and safety, we will speak to industry to understand why we are doing what we are doing. Even if they understand, that is fine. But if they do not, we will still go ahead and enforce the law, because that is what we have been established to do.
Because I could still see some shops selling some of these alcoholic energy drinks. It's still being, pushed out there.
That is strictly an offense, because the release it was an immediate ban. It was not as if we were given a grace period to clear it. It was an immediate ban, and they were told to mop it up and stop production. So if they are still producing, then that's good feedback for us. I will need to inform our enforcement team so that they can go on the ground and then see if they can get some of these samples, pick them up, and then we should be able to trace it to the manufacturers or the importers, and then let them face the sanctions of the law.
So aside the alcoholic energy drinks, are there any other things that the general public should desist from?
Basically, if you're talking about desisting from things, then I'll say that we should not be abusing products. Every product is good. It is good to the extent that you are using it within the prescribed regime. Once you go beyond that, then it becomes poisonous for you. So I would use the opportunity to plead and advise all those listening and their relatives that do not abuse products. Every product is good, but if you overindulge in it, then it becomes poisonous. Even the regular paracetamol we all know, it's a good product. On a good day, you have headache, it's been prescribed for you, you are using it. It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
But if you abuse it, there is what you call in a layman side effects. There are adverse events to it, because overindulging in that will mean that on the day that you really need the paracetamol to work for you, when you take it, it will not work, because your body is so used to it that now when you take the para, it can work. So you now need to increase it to higher dose. So instead of probably taking a tablet, you'll be taking 2 or 3, and the body will suffer for it at the long run. So we should, as much as possible, stop abusing any product, whether it's a food product, whatever product. Do not abuse it. And then I also plead with our ladies to stop skin bleaching.
Skin bleaching?
Skin bleaching, yes. There are some products, they are good, they are genuine. They may have its own place in medicine and in the pharmaceutical industry. But it may have a side effect, good or bad, which can bleach the skin. And others are deliberately doing that. If you bleach your skin, what you are doing is you are taking off your skin is in layers. So once you bleach, you are taking a layer of the skin off. And it's that layer of the skin that, touch wood, should you get an accident, that's where they're going to stitch. If you bleach that skin off, it becomes difficult for at least your body to be stitched when you have an accident. So why do you want to take yourself through that? God has his own reason for making you who you are. Our bodies are not like a phone or a laptop that we can change the housing or change the case. For human beings, the way God made us, we must keep ourselves that way. If you want to touch how God made you, then quote and unquote, you are trying to say that you are wiser than God. And once you want to behave that way, God has his own way of letting you know that you can't be wiser than him. I don't want to mention it, but we've known people who have tried tampering with their body, whether it's the color or the way they look, and we all know what has ended or what their end is. So we want to beg. If you have not started, do not. If you have started, find a gentle way to stop it so that you don't end up destroying your skin.
Now, coming down to the Gen Zs, so what things are slowly killing them?
A few of them. Let me start from what they are mostly indulging now. Smoking. Our youth are now indulging smoking, and they are doing what they call shisha. And there's a misconception that shisha is safe.
Yeah.
Shisha is good. It passes through water, and it's been made so stylish, and it's been made so nice, and then the youth
flavored.
are flavored and all that. And the youth are. The news is that whether it is flavored, whether it is passing through water, whether it is passing through gas, whatever it is, tobacco contains certain poisonous substances. One of them is nicotine. And it's whether it is shisha, whether it is a vape, whether it's an e-cigarette, whatever it is, the nicotine, which makes it a cigarette, is still there. So you can flavor it, but nicotine is there. It can pass through water, the nicotine is there. And once the nicotine gets into your body, with time, it becomes addictive. And once you are addicted to the tobacco, you can't stop. Then you become a chain smoker. The risk is that an hour session of shisha, according to the WHO, is equivalent to a minimum of 100 sticks of cigarette.
100?
Yes. So if you are enjoying yourself, no, you are just blowing it. If you do that, you are equivalent to smoking 100 sticks of cigarette.
Wow.
But somehow, our youth has been deceived into thinking that it's safer. And what even hurts me most is that our young ladies are veering into that. And they smoke it and they think it's for fun. They're just enjoying themselves. Please, you are smoking your life away. Because tobacco is that it affects every single organ of your body. Right from your hair to the sole of your feet. It can make you impotent. I'm not talking about the lungs and then the hearts that we already know. It can make you impotent.
Really?
Yes. A chain smoker can be impotent. It can. It can lead you to getting ulcers. And there are other things that it will do to your body that at the long run you will be worse off. So we want to beg our young ladies, please, do not be hooked onto smoking. Shisha is not safe. Shisha is not a safe form of tobacco. In fact, there is no safe form of tobacco. Whether you smoke it, whether you cook it, whether you fry it, whether you boil it, tobacco is not safe. Please stay away from it. The other thing that the young people are doing now is that they're also doing their own combinations and their own mixes. So they can buy this, buy that, and then they've created a lab in their own homes. They are mixing them up. Please, we beg you. All these are chemicals. And chemicals, once they react, they change their form. And you don't have the controls for it. And nobody's even checking to know the quantities you are mixing and all that.
Yeah.
So please, we beg you. Don't be doing your own mixes at home. Don't be doing your own combinations at home. Don't create your own product. Don't go and buy one product and then take another one and then mix it to yourself and try to do your own combinations. Please, they are gradually killing our youth. And we have got cause to complain because we've received reports from our medical officers and these are the things they are telling us. We want to beg our young people, stay away from those mixes you are doing. They have no proper place as a person for you. It has no good effect. Probably last thing I will say is that there's also an abuse. The abuse is still going on. Probably the media has been quiet on it, but those who are abusing the reds, those who are abusing the blues, and then all the colors and the names they have for it, it's still there. So
it hasn't died down.
No. It hasn't. And now what's even making it even worse is that it is the quote unquote the children of the rich who are abusing it.
Oh.
They are rather abusing it because they don't want to be smelling of alcohol. They don't want to be smelling of anything. So when they take that drug, they are very good drugs, but if you abuse it, then it becomes poisonous. It becomes something bad for the body. And they are abusing it. We want to beg you, please. If you're a young person, you don't need drug to be a hero. You don't need a drug to be a hero. Stay focused, study hard, work hard, and then you'll be a hero. The drugs will rather end your life quickly. You want to beg the youth to please take note of this for us.
Great. Now, speaking about drugs, what is the FDA doing to regulate the pharmaceutical space and clamp down on illegal and unsafe drugs?
So ideally, there should not be any illegal or unregistered drug in the system. That is, if everybody was supposed to go by the tenets of what I spoke about earlier on. However, we get some people smuggling them in. What FDA is doing is that you have a very crack team of officers. We call them the enforcement officers. And they are inspecting various pharmacies, they are inspecting various places that farm drugs are being offered for sale or are being displayed to ensure that everything is of the right standard. At least it's been registered. Once we register, we are sure that it meets the minimum criteria they can go ahead to sell. So our team is on the ground, market, pharmacy, whatever, to make sure that everything is on point. However, we know that there's a challenge where people smuggle them in, people hide them under things, people are importing cars and somewhere buried in the car are these things. They come in and they release them. We understand all these things, but if all of us will be a little more diligent, then I think we can get these things off our radar.
So wait, in the buses, even on the streets, we see people selling drugs, both herbal and not, claiming that they do what exactly they say they will do.
Great.
Are those ones FDA approved?
No,
they are not.
No, the practice itself is wrong. So for medicines, you should buy medicines at a pharmacy or what we call the over-the-counter medicine shops. Medicines are supposed to be kept at certain temperatures because there are some that might even be refrigerated. So if you've never been to the hospital, they'll tell you for this one, keep it in the fridge. However, those who are selling on the streets, they're walking in the sun, they're exposing the product to high temperatures, and it does not make the product safe at all. Anybody who is selling on the streets, please do not buy from them. That is number one. Number two is that, assuming you even consume it and you have a reaction and you want to report, how do we even trace that person? That person is eating around, they're just moving one place. We can't track the person. But if you had bought from a stationary pharmacy or over-the-counter medicine, then we can go back there to see, okay, so Richard bought this drug from you. Over the period, he's developed this rash. We have investigated. Possibly it is not a registered drug. Where did you get to? Then we can even trace to know who imported it, and then we can try and remedy the situation. But if buy from that gentleman who we can't trace from anywhere, then it becomes difficult to even investigate the thing, let alone trying to arrest the situation. So we want to beg all of us who are listening, we should not patronize drugs from persons who are hawking it, and drugs must not be hawked. And then what even makes it worse is that these persons are not pharmacists, or they've not been trained. They are only telling you things based on hearsays. And for medicine, it's not a hearsay matter. Because whether you like it or not, once the drug enters your body, there's no way you can bring it out. It must complete its course. So if it's a bad medicine, it's gone into your body. It will complete its bad course. I know that's what I'm saying. You appreciate it.
Yeah.
So for medicines, it must be bought from a pharmacy. The best minimum is the over-the-counter medicine center or place where the persons there are either pharmacists or they've been trained to have a certain qualification to handle such drugs. So for those in the buses, those in the baskets, those selling in polythene bags, it's a no. Please do not patronize it. Even if they tell you that when you take it, you drink it to take it to heaven, it's a lie. Do not.
Some claim to be herbalists. Like I sat in a car and someone was like, he's a herbalist and has been FDA approved.
That's not true.
And even now, coming to that, how can somebody tell if a drug is FDA approved or legitimate?
So every product the FDA approves must have a certain minimum information on the label or on the pack, you must always look out for the manufacturing date. It's mandatory. Look out for the expiry date. Also mandatory. There's something called the batch number or the lot number. The batch number, basically, on layman's term, talk about a certain number of products that were done within a certain period, which the manufacturer has been explained to them. They batch it. So the batch number must be there. There should be a traceable address to the manufacturer. There should be the list of ingredients on the product. And then for all locally manufactured products, it's mandatory. They must have the FDA number on it. For some of the imported ones, those who are buying in very huge quantities, they put the numbers there. But these ones are minimum. So if you don't even find anything at all, you must see the expiry date, the manufacturing date, the batch number, list of ingredients, a traceable address, and then the FDA's number. You must see these things. Once you see them, it may not be foolproof, but it gives you some confidence that this is possibly an FDA approved product. What I'll add is that you must also know your product. If it's a product you regularly buy or usually buy, it has a certain color, certain texture, certain feel. No manufacturer will change his or her product without doing proper ad on it to tell the consumer that I want to change the label or something. So once you see any little change, even the color of the container, once you see any little change, it should mean that there's something wrong. So we must be very careful. Once I've checked the other regular things, look for some known features of the product. Once they are not there, it means that something could possibly be wrong.
Something could be wrong. So before we bring curtains down on this episode, what advice do you have for Ghanaians out there?
I want to advise Ghanaians that let's all be careful, especially in these times where the rains are visiting us and places are flooding. One thing that we don't talk about a lot when there are floods is also the foodborne risks that it may come. Some homes have septic tanks and wells, both in the same place or in the locality. When there are floods and everywhere is flooded, it fills the wells, it fills the septic tanks, it fills the gutters, everything that can possibly receive water is overflowing. When the floods come home and they get in touch with our foods, some of them we must discard them. If it is canned, packed or bottled in a way that it didn't quite have direct contact with the food, you can clean and then use. But those that are not properly covered or sealed, we must discard them, because once the floods come from, got mixed up with the water from the septic tank, from the gutter, from all those places, it may be coming with germs. In fact, it is coming with germs, and common among them may be cholera. So please, in these times of the flood, if your house is flooded, check the food and check all the products you have there and make sure that you desist from those that are not in contact or that are maybe contaminated. I also beg all Ghanaians that from today, let us all become proper Christians. Proper Christians where we will know where you buy our food. I want to say that there are some 3 places you must not buy your food. Don't buy your food very close to a cemetery. No, don't buy food being sold within a cemetery presence or very close to a cemetery. Don't buy food being sold close to a gutter, an open gutter. Don't buy food close to a public toilet. These are places where it's easy to transfer germs from onto the food. And then anytime you are buying any product, check your expiry date. At least a minimum, check for expiry dates. Once the product is not expired, it gives you some comfort that it is good for use. And then look for the list of ingredients, because some of us have allergies. If you don't check and you eat, it will cause you to fall sick. Yeah. So let's check these basic things, and then we should be good.
We should be good. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Kristocentric Agenda. And I have been speaking with the head of media relations for the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, Mr. Richard ABROKWAH. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure being here, and I want to come back at another time.
Most definitely.
Sure.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Kristocentric Agenda. And we've been talking about the work the FDA is doing to protect Ghanaians, whether it's enough or not. So if you just joined, catch the full episode on the Kristocentric Station YouTube channel and also on the Kristocentric TV YouTube channel. My name is ABROKWAH Edwin Techi, your Christian news anchor, and I'll always remind you that God is not done with you. Your best is yet to come. Please enjoy the rest of your day and do not switch to anything. Stay right here on Kristocentric Station.